ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादरं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। न जीवब्रह्मणोर्भेदः स्फूर्तिरूपेण विद्यते स्फूर्तिभेदेन मानं स्यात् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः। न जीव ब्रह्मणोर्भेदः प्रियरूपेण विद्यते प्रियभेदेन मानं स्यात् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः। You see, Jiva and Brahma. Brahma also can be called Ishvara. Either way is all right. Shankara uses them in the same meaning. Occasionally, in a very specific context, you can always make a small difference, depending upon the very specific context, but otherwise, they are used synonymously. I am saying it because many people ask, what is the difference? Should we use or not? Like that. So you are welcome to use. But in a very specific context where the difference is being pointed out, there you have to be cautious. So, Jiva and Ishvara. You see, Ishvara is universal. Jiva is particular. That is how we understand. So, this understanding or this conception that Ishvara is universal and I am particular makes us different from each other. But Ishvara is universal so you say Ishvara is universal and you say you are particular. Ishvara is universal, true, that is obvious. But you say you are particular. No, you are not particular. You are the universal. So you have to cease imagining yourself to be the particular. That's why, suppose you are making a prayer. There is a way of doing a prayer. Oh God, so do this favor to me. That is one kind of prayer. Somewhat better. Oh God, do this favor to my family. Slightly better. But it still falls into the me and my family syndrome. So you have to rise above all that. So you better say, oh God, sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. You say that. Now, by your saying sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, may all be happy. All are not going to be happy by your saying that. But in saying so, the world plots on. Whether you say sarve bhavantu sukhinaha or not, it plots on. World is what world is. So, you are not going to make the world a happy place immediately because it is not a happy place. It is mithya, it is. So, what you should, it is not about you making the world a different place. It is about you realizing the world that doesn't exist. It is unreal. Anyway, so when you say sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, you are only manifesting your universality. That you have to move in that direction. But people get very much fixated with the particular. That is the problem. And therefore, so you see these events, the circumstances around you, they will be happening. They come and they go. They have no being. They have no reality. They are like so many scenes on the screen in a movie house. The world is a movie house. And the happenings are like scenes on the movie screen. Sometimes the business people know better than us. Business people say loss and profit, they happen. Once the loss comes, they will say, okay, chalo, we will get profit next year. They are better, their thinking is better. So sometimes they absorb losses for year after year, many years, and then they bounce back. Then sometimes the political people are also better. There is wisdom everywhere if only you want to know. They say when they lose the election, yeah, elections are like that. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. My God, he is a jnani in that area. We have to learn from them. And we have to do introspection. Sometimes we win, sometimes the other people win. What a beautiful vision it is. So, therefore life will go on. And there is no reality to all these events and all that. The Jagat, the world, it owes its very appearance to the reality. It is like the shadow owes its appearance to the person standing there. Without the person, there will be no shadow. Shadow owes its appearance to the reality. You should not say shadow owes its existence to the reality. It doesn't exist. Now you are talking of its existence. Language should be proper. Now you say shadow exists. It owes its existence to the reality. The reality lends its existence to the shadow. What are you talking? So that becomes a bit confusing and problematic. You have to be very cautious about these statements. So you should not say Rajju lends its existence to the Sarpa, because there is no existence in the Sarpa. It only makes it appear, not lending existence, like car finance lending. So making it appear. Therefore, the reality, you are that reality. What appears is the events of the world. They are only appearances like scenes on the screen, and they come and they go. They do not really happen. They do not really exist. They only appear, and that appearance is related to the reality, and that reality is you. You are that reality. You see, suppose you say, oh, a very bad thing happened, you say. So now bad thing, it owes its appearance to you because you look at it as bad. Somebody else looks at it as good. And so, you see, poor God, he will be watching from there. For him it is neither good nor bad. You see, once an elderly person whom I know very well, he died. And so I was about to start to go to the family. Then they telephoned to me, Swamiji, we are already going to the cremation ground. Please come to the cremation ground itself. Instead of going to the home, there will be nobody there. So in Hyderabad, the traffic and all that takes a lot of time. So I went to the cremation ground, but they have not yet arrived. They are in the traffic. Cremation ground is closer to me. So I was waiting. There I met this gentleman. He is very sad. I thought in cremation ground you are supposed to be sad, therefore he is sad. No, that is not the reason. He is sad because till today not one corpse has come. Then he asked me, why did you come here? I said, my friend did, very nice. So, how far, where are they? They are coming. Oh, good. They already started? Yes, sir. Good. So he is very happy because the first corpse of the day. Poor guy, he doesn't even have the sophistication of hiding his joy. And so all through he was joyous. I was noticing him. All through he was joyous. And we were all very sad-faced. Whatever we are inside, outwardly, we are very sad looking. Because the social morality demands that we look sad. We may not be so sad inside. What sad? People come and people go. What's sad about it? All society feels that they should be sad, so you also feel you should be sad. And therefore you try to be sad. And then become sad also. When you try to be sad, you become sad also. That comes and goes. It won't stay. Because you are giving reality to it. Somebody, now whether God, he did good thing in his opinion, or did he do bad thing in our opinion? What did he do? In fact, you ask God, he will say two things. It is neither good nor bad. It is what it is, natural. Number one. Number two, I did not do it. You people did it. In my dictionary, death doesn't exist. In God's dictionary, death doesn't exist. In God's dictionary, only Sat exists. And death is the shadow of Sat. And so you forget Sat and give reality to the shadow. So, you are the universal because all knowledge flows from you as all being flows from you. This you have to carefully understand. You see, when you say pot is, now obviously the first step in the understanding is easy step, namely, esse ist percipi. To be is to be perceived. Therefore, pot is because pot shines. Shines means not in this light. In this light, anyway it shines. Pot shines in the light of awareness. That's why pot is. Therefore, pot is related to me, to my knowing. Pot is related to my knowing. That is obvious. But then, whatever is related to my knowing is also related to my being. Because knowing and being are one and the same. The separation is only verbal. You are using two different words. That is the only separation. There is no real separation. Knowing and being, like Ramo Dasharathi, knowing is being is knowing. Being shines as knowing. Knowing has its abidance in being. Sat and Chit. Therefore, whatever is related to you by your knowing is already related to you, is already related to your being also. And suppose you say, I know pot, I know pot, I am, I know pot. Then I know pot, therefore pot is. Esse ist percipi. I know pot, therefore pot is. I know that I am, therefore I am. Pot is, I am. What is pot is? The being, conditioned by the name and form pot. Where is this being? In myself? Where else? I am, what is that? That is also being, conditioned by the self-consciousness, me. Therefore, it is the same being, conditioned by the name and form pot, conditioned by the self-conscious, me. But it is the same being. Where is the division in that being? The conditioning is the division. And where is this conditioning? In my mind. It is also in me. Now I reject that conditioning. Now I realize that the being of the pot and being of myself are one and the same. You have to meditate upon it. Very critical leap it is. Very critical leap. What is because I know it. That is one leap. People don't know that. People think that it is, irrespective of myself, it is. And who put it there? Bhagavan has put it there. And so throw all the blame upon God. And if you don't like it, now Bhagavan has to remove it from there. And you are willing to do a prayer. Before doing the prayer, we have to understand. The aspiration, is it normal? Is it natural? You have to understand. You have to understand. Oh God, give me this much money. Prayer. You have to understand, what will you do with that much money? Will it bring good to you? Or will it bring bad to you? Or will it bring both good and bad? Do you need all that? You have to think all that. Oh God, give me this much money. Whether He gives or not, that is a different thing. But before praying, you have to understand what kind of prayer it is. Anyway, so all knowledge flows from you, as all being flows from you, and all joy flows from you. So realize that you are the eternal source of all knowing, all being, and all joy. You are the source. There is no other source. And so accept all as your own. All existence is myself. All existence is myself. A Vyakarana scholar is giving a talk. He is talking wonderfully because he is a great scholar. I was sitting there. I was happy, very happy. Somebody asked, why are you so happy? Because he is telling Vyakarana very good. He is telling, not you are telling. Oh, come on, I am telling only, not he is telling. I am telling. Accept all as your own. So, what makes him tell is what makes him hear. So, it is as good as I am telling. So somebody is sleeping, I am sleeping. Somebody is enjoying, I am enjoying. That is the only enjoyment. So when you know to be happy by seeing others happy, by making others happy, you may not be able to do it all the time. So we cannot make others happy. We assume like that we do whatever bit we can do, but ultimately they have to decide to be happy, Sometimes you will be saying, but he will be protesting. You will be saying, oh, there is nothing to worry about, it is all fine. But no, Swamiji, it may not be all fine. No, it is all fine. But no, Swamiji. So like he will be protesting. He is not willing to be happy. So, but when one person is happy, I am happy. Why are you happy? Because he is happy. If he is happy, why should I be happy? That is what happiness is. That is what, the moment you seek happiness for yourself, you are in misery. Why? Because you are seeking happiness. The fact that you are seeking happiness shows that you are miserable. The fact that you are asking for more money shows that you are a poor man. You see, one person is asking God for money. Oh, and he wanted to give dakshina to a Mahatma. Mahatma said, I will not take dakshina from poor people. I will give to them. I will give to you. Then he said, what are you talking? I give this temple I only made. And I will give dakshina to you. But I won't take from poor people. I am not poor. Who told you I am poor? But now, just now you are praying to God that give me wealth. You are poor. I won't take from you. And the Mahatma walked away from the king's palace. The king was asking for more. And the Mahatma walked away. I won't take except from poor people. Therefore, you made yourself poor by seeking money. You made yourself unhappy by seeking happiness. So stop seeking happiness and be happy when others are happy. You will not know what is unhappiness. So what I am trying to say, it is not a moral lecture. I am only trying to prove or establish that all being relates to you, because all knowing relates to you. In the same way, there is no happiness without knowing. Knowing is happiness. Anando nama upalabdhireva, Shankara. So, knowing is happiness. And so, therefore, all happiness is related to you. Learn to be happy when you see things happy. That is not when you possess, that is not correct. And so when you see a flower, be happy. When you want to be happy by plucking it and putting on your table, you are spoiling a flower, you are spoiling your own happiness. So we may not want to do such things. Therefore, all happiness is related to you. You are universal. You have to realize that. And na jiva brahmanor bhedaha spurti rupena vidyate, na jiva brahmanor bhedaha priya rupena vidyate. Water and its bubbles are one. Water and its bubbles are one. So the shape of the bubble makes you feel that bubble is different from water. It is the shape which makes you feel that way. The shape is a superimposition. You see, oftentimes I try to look into this. I am going on a boat in the ocean, a small boat, I am on the boat and I look at the ocean. You can look at it, waves like that, you can look at it. Or, what a huge expanse of water it is. What do you mean by waves? Where are waves? I don't see any waves. I only see water. No, there it has gone up. That is water. Here it has gone down. That is water. No, there up, here down. That is the wave. Where is this up and down? Where are they? Up and down? They are in your mind. In this space, there is no up, there is no down, appa. Up and down are in your mind. East and west are in your mind. I would recommend you go beyond east and west. Go beyond. Go beyond. I was doing a prayer. Somebody said it is not east. I said I have gone beyond east and west. I have gone beyond. For me, there is no east, there is no west. There is only space. I have gone beyond that. You have to go beyond. There is no up, there is no down. Heaven is up. Who told you heaven is up? If heaven is up today morning, by evening it will be underneath my feet. Do you like it? Therefore there is no up, there is no down. Therefore there is no wave. There is only water. So, water and its bubbles are one. So in the same way, the Jiva and Ishvara are one in essence, are one in essence. You want to highlight the differences or you want to highlight the commonality? Then a question is asked, if differences are there, you have to highlight that also. If commonality is there, you may have to highlight that, but if differences are there, we have to highlight that also. Then I will say the differences are not real, are posited, are projected. Therefore, first you project the differences, and then highlight the difference, and then commonality remains covered up. All humanity is one. You project religion. Region. You project region. So, you see, there was an application form. A young man told me he is to apply for a ration card or whatever. And in that application form, caste, name, father's name. Very important. You should not say why father's name. You should write. Because if name is Srinivasa Rao, there are 100,000 Srinivasa Raos in Hyderabad. The only way to distinguish one from the other is son of. That distinguishes. Add one more parameter. No, K Srinivasa Rao. There are out of 100,000, there are 5,000 K Srinivasa Raos. And then by putting son of, hopefully you are the only one. Hopefully. There are problems. But the chance is that you are the only guy. So father's name. Caste. He refused to write the caste. And the clerk said, I won't accept your application because you have to fill it completely. Mandatory fields all should be filled. Even in this computer, it puts a red mark there. Whereas it is a handwritten application, he won't accept it. The clerk said, you see, I don't make rules. You fill it completely and give me. I will take it. He did not take it. Then I told you, write and give it. What is your problem? No, I want to go beyond. You go beyond, but first write it and give to him. Therefore, you have to go beyond. Even while playing a role in the family, etc., you have to go beyond. In immigration, they ask you what is the date of birth. Why in immigration? If you go to for medicine, they ask, that lady asks, what is your date of birth? I was about to say, why do you want my date of birth? Then my friend told, no, you tell her that. So I told her and get the medicine. So go beyond. They are just there for a given purpose. You should not get identified with them. You have to go beyond. Once you go beyond, what is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara? Be devoted. Be devoted to Ishvara, who is your Atma. The devotion acquires a new dimension now. Ishvara is always with me. My beloved is always with me. Never separated from me. In pleasure, it is my beloved is with me. In pain, my beloved is with me. A poet said like that. I don't remember all the words, but I am putting in my words. That is what the poet said. That is the true beloved. Because, you see, in pleasure and pain, in prosperity and adversity, the only one who is with you is the beloved God. He is the only one who is with you. You have to discover that. God alone is with you in pleasure and pain, in prosperity and adversity. All others are sometimes with you, sometimes not. But God is always with you. And therefore, that is the true devotion. Therefore, you be devoted to God the right way. Even while worshipping a given form, you rise above the form. Visualize Om and rise above the form. Even while worshipping the God on the outside as other than you, you bring back that God into you and establish God in yourself. So, because by doing so, you will only be manifesting the oneness, which is the truth, and also manifesting your own divinity. So, you see, when we don't come to Vedanta, the ritual has some kind of a significance. The God, worship, etc., it has some kind of significance. One kind of significance. But once you come to Vedanta, the entire character of ritual and worship changes, should change. The worst contradiction that people live with is they study Vedanta but don't bring that required transformation in their worship and in their upasana. That is the worst possible contradiction. You see this contradiction everywhere. And you have to come out of that contradiction. Once you are a student of Vedanta, be honest with yourself. You are a student of Vedanta, karmanyevadhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. Begin there. Because life is the life of action. Begin there. And then when you are a student of Vedanta, God is nameless and formless. Worshipped in multiple names and forms, but essentially nameless and formless. And God is in you more than outside. First in you, then only outside. Antaha bahischa. Antaha, not bahihi. Antaha, bahischa. Outside also. Till there is a sense of in and out. Once the sense of in and out is gone, then God only is, nothing else is. Therefore, some fundamental, this Copernicus revolution in ritual and in upasana, without that, you are not even a student of Vedanta. That basic honesty one should practice. So, honesty with oneself. So, you see, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana. Rama is God. Lakshmana is Jiva. Always Sita is in between. So, when Lakshmana, single file, they are progressing in the forest single file. Whenever Lakshmana wanted to look at Rama, Sita is there. He cannot look at him because Sita. So to look at Rama, he has to bend his heck, crane his heck to the left or to the right and look at, because Sita is there in the way. Sita is the Maya. So that Maya you have to overcome. Then only you will be able to see the oneness with God. That is this illustration you may want to keep in your mind. So, you are Lakshmana separated from Rama only when there is Sita in between. Sita is the Maya. Illustration, don't feel anything about it. It is an illustration. So, a beautiful illustration given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He also gave the illustration of a salt doll. Be like the salt doll, taking a dip in the ocean. That is called communion, the unison with God. Whenever you worship, be like the salt doll, taking a dip in the ocean. So when the salt doll takes a dip, it doesn't exist independent of the ocean. It merges in the ocean. That is called unison. That is the samadhi. That is the yoga. The words yoga or samadhi mean that unison. Yoga is unison. Yujir yoge. Yoga is coming together, merging. And therefore, so na jiva brahmanor bhedaha. So salt doll spurti rupena vidyate. Spurti bhede namanam syat. No, consciousness is different. No, consciousness is never different. Consciousness is never found in plural. Schrödinger, in the book, What is Life? Consciousness is never found in plural. I looked around what he is trying to say. He did not give much argument about it. He simply said only that much. In Vedanta, we have an argument about it. But the argument, you should be able to appreciate it. Shastriya logic should be appreciated in the spirit of Shastra only. You should not pull the logic left and right using your thinking. You should be rational. So, Shastriya logic is like this. Spurti bhede namanam syat. It is like this. Bheda esse ist percipi. Division, bheda. Bheda is only when bheda shines. The flower different from clock. The flower doesn't say, I am different from clock. Clock doesn't say, I am different from flower. You have to take the spirit of that statement which I am saying. The spirit of that statement. You should not use it as some kind of Purvapaksha against me. So the spirit of this statement. You see, you say it is the clock. What I am trying to convey is, esse ist percipi. It is perceived as clock, therefore it is clock. Without the perceiving as clock, it cannot be clock. Either you should say it is clock or it should say it is clock. Somebody has to say it is clock. And it doesn't say I am clock. You have to say it is clock. Without somebody saying, how are you going to establish it is clock? Therefore, clock, flower, different. So, there is a consciousness in which clock shines, flower shines, the difference also shines. Without the shining in consciousness, neither clock can be established, nor flower can be established, nor the difference can be established. Therefore, when you see the difference, there is the difference. In fact, you see the world plural by contrast. You see the difference. And you see the difference, then only difference is there. Now, if there is a difference between one and the other, like Jiva and Brahma, the difference is there. This difference should be appreciated in consciousness. Therefore, the consciousness it doesn't have difference. Consciousness is one which appreciates the difference. Suppose you say consciousness itself is different. Consciousness 1, consciousness 2. Then there must be another consciousness which appreciates the difference of consciousness 1 and consciousness 2. Without that consciousness, this difference cannot be established. And then that consciousness is the real consciousness. These two are not consciousness. Because they are known to that consciousness, they become drishya, the objects of consciousness, not consciousness anymore. Therefore, the consciousness can never ever be experienced in plural. This is the argument we give. All this argument Schrödinger did not give. He simply made a statement in a particular context. Therefore, you cannot have a difference between Jiva and Brahma in reality. So you have to practice that. Practice means not dumbbells. So take some weights in the left and right, and Jiva is Brahma, Brahma is Jiva. Not that way. Practice means that is not practice. So you have to take the word in the right spirit. So practice means you have to, whenever you worship God, you have to visualize that the God that is worshipped by me outside is indeed inside me. So Ishvaraha hriddeshe tishtati. Outside we worship. In fact, why Ishvara outside? Why do you have a form outside? Only to make the mind Ishvarakara or Bhagavadakara. If you look at an object, the mind becomes Bhogakara. It acquires the shape of Bhoga, enjoyment. If you look at this Sri Krishna's figure, the mind becomes Bhagavadakara. It acquires the shape of Bhagavan. That's why it is kept there. Suppose you keep it there and it becomes part of your monotonous existence, and you look at it like you look at any other thing on the wall, and you do namaskar only when you have some desire, and you do not derive any spirit, any spurti, any inspiration from that. You do not derive any inspiration from that. You followed all the conditions. It is part of our monotonous existence. It doesn't inspire us anymore. It is just lying there like many other objects. And you pray to it only when some desire is there. And you do not derive any inspiration from that figure. Okay? When all these conditions are satisfied, the puja that you are doing is called crass idolatry. That is what it is. That is how it is described. So, even the murti that you are worshipping is only a symbol. It is a symbol of God. It is a symbol of God. And where does the God remain? If it is a symbol, it must be in your heart only. It cannot be a symbol for a God who is not in your heart. It can be a symbol for a God who is in your heart. That's why they say Ishtadaivam. The God must be in your heart. And the symbol must be that which inspires the feeling of God in your heart. For some, the symbol is Krishna, that brings up the spirit of God in their heart. For some others it is Rama. For some others it is a cross. They look at cross, they get the spirit of godliness in their heart. For some others something else. God is same. The spirit of godliness is same, but the symbols are different. That is the meaning of Ishta Daivam. The other day someone asked me this question. So, Ishta Daivam. Ishta Daivam means my Ishta Daivam is different, your Ishta Daivam is another Daivam, a third Ishta Daivam, a third Ishta. No. The symbol that I like particularly to evoke the sense of, to invoke the feeling of devotion to God in my heart, that symbol is this. So, Sri Ramakrishna, he never wanted a symbol till he was appointed a priest in a temple. What kind of a priest he is. The other day somebody was asking me, priestly class. There is no priestly class. There are priests. There is no priestly class. You are imagining a priestly class. There are priests. And even Sri Ramakrishna is a priest. So some of them are like that, some of them are not like that. So, in fact, it is not only about priestly class, it is about society. There is no society, you are the society, you think about it. So, therefore, he was walking with his mother, he looked at the moon. Moon is beautiful. Beauty is God. Beauty is God. Therefore, that beauty of the moon, it brought the spirit of godliness so powerfully in him that he went into a samadhi. And the mother has to carefully make him walk to the home. Because he was in the samadhi of godliness. There is communion in his heart already. So moon is his symbol then. It's not that moon is God for him and for somebody else the sun is God. Moon is the symbol for him. For a Vaidika, a rising sun is the symbol. So these are all symbols. God is always in you. And then you are not different from God. That is the Abheda. You are not different from God. Samudro hi tarangaha kvachana samudro na tarangaha. The wave belongs to the ocean. Wave and ocean. Wave belongs to ocean. Wave merges in ocean. That is the sequence. Abheda is, that is the Abheda. So, similarly, Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva, a part of Ishvara. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. You take it as a part. You saying part is not against Advaita. It is a step towards that. Just because, Swami TV said Jiva is a part of Ishvara. Swami TV did not say, Shri Krishna said, Mamaivamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. Mama amshaha eva. Or Mamaiva amshaha. Natu samsarasya. You are not a part of the samsara. You are part of the divinity. So, therefore, that is the second step. And finally, the part merges in the whole. So, Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva of Ishvara. Jiva in Ishvara. Jiva merges in Ishvara. Ishvara alone remains. That is the Abheda that we are talking about. Then Priya Rupena Vidyate. Happiness. Happiness which is Ishvara. Happiness which is Jiva. You say, I tell you how. It looks as if we have two selves. One self and another self. As if there are two selves in us. So it looks like that. You see, a person came to me. He said, I am very sad. Okay. I want to overcome this sadness, but I am unable to overcome this sadness. That is what he said. Then I said, there are two selves now in you. There are two selves. One is the sad self. The second is the self which wants to overcome the sadness. There are two selves. Did you notice that? I did not know. Notice now. Notice now. Now you tell me which is the real self. The sad self is real, or the self which wants to overcome the sadness is real? Which is the real? You tell me. Suppose he says sad self is real. I will say, okay, you come to me after 3 days. You have your sadness for 3 days and come back to me after 3 days. And now he says the self which wants to overcome the sadness is real. Bas, that is the real self. Why do you want to hold on to the unreal self? Give it up. Hold on to the real self. So, anyway, it seems that we have two selves all the time. In the context of Jiva Brahmano Bheda, na Jiva Brahmano Bhedaha, in that context I am telling. That the earlier one is an illustration only. So it looks as if we have two selves. I will describe to you, you see, one self, I will call it apparent self. Because that is the self we experience all the time. And it is the outer self I will call it. Because you have that self-image about you by identification with the body and the things around. I am a rich man. Means the sense of self is derived from bank account. I am a husband. The sense of self is derived from a lady standing by the side. And the lady has to conquer also. So the sense of self is such a vulnerable sense of self it is. She has to bless it. She blesses it, all right, not a problem. So this is what is called the outer self. And then there is an inner self. The outer self is visible not only to you, to everybody else. Whereas the inner self is not visible to anybody else and not visible to you also. That is the inner invisible self. Now, let us examine these two selves. The apparent self claims to be a person. The apparent self says, I am a person. And therefore, as such means as being a person, I am other than all other persons. This is the apparent self. I am other than all other persons. And then the apparent self, which is other than all other selves, and which claims to be a person, I am such a person. So this apparent self, it has a name. It calls itself by a name. So when I say, I am Swami TV, I am referring to the apparent self only. And if you take, I am Swami TV is the real self, then Swami TV is one real self and Mr. So-and-so is another real self. So now how many real selves are there? And where is Advaita Vedanta? Be honest about it. So, therefore, the apparent self calls itself by a name. And the apparent self has a few characters. It always seeks its own advantage. Always. So, you see, it goes to the market seeking its own advantage. And it goes to the temple, again seeking its own advantage. And it comes to Vedanta, again it seeks advantage to itself. Moksha for me. Moksha for me. There is no moksha for me. There is moksha from me, not for me. Therefore, as long as you hold on to this apparent self seeking moksha for itself, so this is how we convert the entire Vedanta into some professional approach. Vedanta for me. Arepa, there can be no me in Vedanta. No, I have completely studied Vedanta and my me is even stronger than earlier. What are you talking? That is the professional Vedanta. Like Mr. Such and Such, MA, PhD, like that. They print one card. I printed a card one time. I did not print. A friend printed and gave to me. I used to carry it around. And then it occurred to me, what am I doing? So I gave it up. Why should I introduce myself to all others? Not necessary. Anyway, some silly thing. So this apparent self seeks its advantage all the time. And you just think about it. This apparent self is always anxious, very insecure, always anxious, health care. Apparent self, it is always anxious. So it looks as if an entire nation has two kinds of people. People who are sick and people who are waiting to become sick. It looks like that. The entire nation looks like that. In India, we have sick people and we have normal people. Whereas in a nation, there are sick people, a few of them. They will become all right in a few days. They are in the hospital or whatever. And the other people are just waiting to become sick with the policy ready. And once I become sick, it is like a breakfast you eat in the hotel, you need not pay the bill. You need not pay the bill. You can eat idli, but one is enough. No, dosha is also there. You can eat. You need not pay the bill. You can eat dosha also. Now sweet, why sweet in the breakfast? Areyappa, it is free. You need not pay. Come on, go and take it. So once you become sick, you can eat any number of pills. You can go through any number of diagnostic devices. There is no limit. And so, the money given by 80% of the people is used for treating 10% of the people. This is what is called insurance. Some funny thing it is. Anyway, the apparent self is anxious and occasionally cheerful and always afraid. Sometimes bold, sometimes very meek. Not meek, covered. The apparent self is lustful, occasionally enraged, anger and all that, hungry, thirsty, sleepy, cold, hot. Here cold, in India hot. This is the apparent self. So I am going back now. The apparent self will, hot. So now going back to Pennsylvania, the apparent self, cold. Healthy, the apparent self, healthy. The apparent self, sick. Apparent self, young, old. So, the apparent self is the best example for an ever-altering thing. Ever-altering. That is the apparent self. This apparent self is never one with God. Nobody says that it is God. The Dvaita Purvapaksha is, how can you be one with God? This is the Purvapaksha. Somebody asked me, how can you be one with God? You say Aham Brahmasmi. First of all, Upanishad says Aham Brahmasmi, you have to think about it. You claim that you are a Vaidika, Upanishad is also Veda, it says Aham Brahmasmi, you have to think about it. Number one. Number two, so when you say, how dare you say you are one with God, when you ask that question, what do you mean by that you? You tell me what is that you? You are saying you? He said that is the apparent self. Therefore his Purvapaksha has no validity. We are not saying the apparent self is God. Apparent self is just that much. It is what it is, namely apparent, and hence unreal. You see, a thing which appears is unreal. Why? Why unreal? Because it appears. Jagat mithya, drishyatvad. Jagat is mithya. Why? Because it is drishya. Like swapna jagat. Yatha swapne jagat. Or yatha rajju sarpaha. That is the illustration. So, therefore, when you see a thing, the seen is not real. The seer is also not real. Seeing alone is real. Anyway, so there is the real self. The apparent self is ever altering, whereas the real self, unchanging. It was not born. It is not going to die. Ajaha nityaha, immortal. It is not a person. It is not a person. It is impersonal. Impersonal awareness it is. It is not a person. And it is not a person. You know why it is not a person? Because it is equally within every person. If it is a person, then it can be only in one person. It cannot be in another person. But this real self is impersonal, pervading every person. In every human being, it is there. This impersonal awareness, the real self, in every living creature it is there. It is the awareness of every living creature, and it is the being of every object of this world. And it is, you see, it is in you as much as it is in everybody else. And that real self, you can access it now and here. You can access it. You cannot describe it. You cannot see it with eyes. You cannot conceive it with mind. But you can supremely access it. That real self which is within you. And it is the infinite. So, that real self is Brahma. And there is no reason to say that the real self is different from Brahman. There is no reason. Apparent self cannot, even the wildest of the dream, it cannot come anywhere near the truth, because it itself is untruth. It is apparition only. Therefore, when we say na jiva brahmanor bhedaha, you see, when you say aham brahmasmi, it is the most blasphemic statement that you can ever imagine. If that aham is the apparent self. If aham is not the apparent self, it is the real self, it is the most profoundest truth that this universe can ever come out with. Aham brahmasmi. Most profound truth it is. There can be no greater truth than that. It is the two extremes. Therefore, from the real self point, Shankara doesn't even consider apparent self. When he says jiva pranadharane, the source of that prana. Prana is indriyas, 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. So that is the prana. And prananam dharanam, they are held together, they are brought together, they are made functional. By what? That Paramatma entering into the body mind. That is the meaning of jiva. Jiva is not the apparent self. Jiva pranadharane. So that's why Shruti also says, Paramatma jivena atmana anupravishya. There jiva is not the this anxious, afraid appearance. That is not the jiva. Jiva pranadharana. So jivena atmana, in the form of jiva, as pranadharana. So the Vijnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, the source of Vijnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, that is how Paramatma has entered here. So having Paramatma having entered as jiva, how can there be difference between jiva and Ishvara? Unity is the truth. So therefore, na jiva brahmanoh bhedaha bhede manam nasyat. Then coming to Priya, I have to handle this Priya. Once the Priya is discussed a little, we have successfully completed both the verses, so can make some progress. So Priya means joy or happiness. Priya. You see, I will give you a paribhasha for Ishvara, a paribhasha. You see, when you fix a paribhasha for Ishvara, so that paribhasha becomes, it helps you to worship Ishvara, but at the same time, it prevents you to know Ishvara also. That is the paribhasha. This paribhasha is very important. So, you say, I went to receive a friend in railway station. So, I am under the impression he has a flowing beard and all that. He is a Swami and was having beard and all that. All the time, as long as I knew him, he never shaved. Flowing beard and head and all that. So I was looking for him all over the platform. I could not find him. There was a Mahatma in ochre robes only. He is clean shaven. I saw him, but I thought he is somebody else, because in India there will be many Mahatmas in the train. 2-3 of them can come, you know. So I was searching and searching, and he watched me. He guessed something, and so he is watching. I am going up and down. He is watching, and I saw him watching me also, but still I did not recognize him. Then he came from behind. Hey Swami, what are you doing? And he hit me with his hand on the back. Then I came out of my reverie and looked into his face. Oh, you are the one. This is how it happens. When the fixation is there, that God is like this, a fixation. So even if God comes and stands before you, you will not be able to recognize. You see, there is a story, there is a Sri Krishna Bhakta. And so he was a great devotee, and Sri Krishna appeared before him. And this man, hey, you are coming out from a drama company. We have drama companies in India. Surabhi is a popular drama company in Andhra Pradesh. They act dramas on the stage, like Broadway here. And they are a company. And so they have these costumes and all that. So this person, Sri Krishna, he appeared before him. He asks him, because all these dramas are Purana dramas. In India, you know, in India religion is the mainstream, and therefore all the dramas are also Puranic dramas, not social dramas, only Purana. So Ramanjaneya Yuddham, there must be some sensation also. If you say Ramanjaneya Bhakti, nobody will come to see the drama. Because Ramanjaneya Bhakti, we all know that. But if you say Ramanjaneya Yuddham, the entire population will be there. Because some sensation should be there. So Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvadamu drama, nobody will be there. Sri Krishna Arjuna Yuddhamu, everybody will be there. They want to Yuddha. Like when we go to Hollywood movie, we want to dish you, that only we want. Like that, this drama is also like that. Anyway, yesterday there was Sri Krishna Arjuna Yuddham drama. And so you came from the drama now onto the streets. You should know better than that. Before coming onto the street during the daytime, you should remove your costume. What are you doing? Go back and remove your costume. That is what this person told Sri Krishna. Could you follow that? So, what will you do? Suppose God appears in a particular form. What will you do now? What will you do? Vishnu Chaturbhuja stands before you. What will you do? Oh, I will be ecstatic. Okay, ecstatic. Then I will make a prayer. 1 or 2 prayers I know I will make. Okay, that is over. Then what will you do? Then you will ask him, sir, you go your way, let me do my job. That is what you are going to ask. Suppose he says, no, I am with you all the time. Oh, come on, what is this? I have to go to bathroom, you are with me all the time. So, the point is, the paribhasha of Ishvara. You have a conception of Ishvara, see whether it is recommended for worship. Upasakanam karyartham brahmano rupakalpana is recommended for worship for a reason. That form has an inspiration, it is a beautiful symbol, so you can worship. But suppose you do not understand the symbol as symbol and take things literally. This is called literality, the hallmark of religion. The difference between religion and Vedanta is, religion is literality, Vedanta is spirituality. It is about the spirit, not about the literal. In fact, words do not describe the truth. That is how we go beyond the literality. Whereas you take the symbol for its spirit, then it's fine. Suppose you take the symbol literally. Now the symbol, instead of uplifting us, it will bind us, it will hold us back. The paribhasha of Ishvara, one should be very cautious. One should not confuse the symbol with the reality. Symbol is like passport photo, nothing more than that. So you look at the man looks at his beloved's passport photo. Only till she comes and stands by his side. When she is standing by his side, or when he is in her embrace, he doesn't care for the passport photo. So you have to see that distinction. Anyway, so paribhasha of Ishvara. I will give you paribhasha of Ishvara. You see, happiness. Ishvara is Ananda. Happiness. And happiness where? Everywhere. When? At all times. With what? With all objects. In what situation? In all situations. In what context? In all contexts. At home or in office? At home as well as in office. So, means desha kala vastu paricheda rahita ananda. Happiness which is entirely free from the limitations of space, time and object. Because whenever you know happiness, happiness is not known to you, not unknown to you. Happiness is known. Somebody said, I never knew happiness in my life. He knew it. Otherwise, he would not make such a statement. He knew it. Without knowing, you see, when the happiness is not there, what happens? Suppose there is no happiness in the person, he will die. At once he will die. Some people, when they get some disease, so they lose that happiness. That inherent sense of happiness they lose. I don't know how to put it. Once they lose it, the medicines and the doctors can do nothing to them. They die away. They just die away. Very soon they die away. Once the happiness is gone, they will die away. Because anandadhyeva khal vimani bhutani jayante. Anandena jatani jivanti. Anandam pravishanti. So, anando brahmeti vyajanat. Anyway, so ananda, there must be that ananda in you. The fact that you are living and sitting and standing shows that you are in communion with that ananda, unknowingly or knowingly. Therefore, deshakala vastu paricheda rahita ananda. The ananda free from, that is the priya. Ananda free from the limitations of space, time and causality, space, time and also the object. So that ananda is Ishvara. Ishvara is ananda. Satchidananda. And so what about you? You have Ananda too. You have Ananda also. Therefore, you are in league with Ishvara. The difference between you and Ishvara is only degree, not quality. Ishvara is of the quality of Ananda. You are also of the same quality. Only difference is in degree. Now, suppose whatever difference is there in degree, you are able to obliterate the difference. What will happen? The Bheda is gone. Because the Bheda is not quality. Suppose Jiva is essentially unhappy and Ishvara is essentially happy. There can never be a Bheda. Jiva is happy, Ishvara is also happy. But there is a Bheda, you experience a Bheda due to the degree. Happiness degrees are there. So my happiness has degrees. These degrees are described in the Shruti. So, Modo Dakshina Pakshaha, Pramoda Uttara Pakshaha. Modaha is some happiness. Pramodaha means 10 times more happiness. Like that. The degrees are there. Taradamya is there in happiness. Degree. The difference is only in degree, not in quality. Now the point is the degree difference, can it be eliminated or not? If it can be eliminated, then there is no division between Jiva and Brahma. But if it cannot be eliminated, then there will be division only. Say a king is going in a palanquin. He saw a farmer tilling the land with an old-fashioned tiller. This farmer is wearing a dhoti up to the knees, like Mahatma Gandhi. Above there is nothing. Above the cloth will be on the tree somewhere. He will take it later. His shirt. Without shirt he is tilling, summer. So the king is in regal attire. The king asked the palanquin to be stopped. He walked the footpath and went to the farmer. Stood on that partition. And the farmer is in the field. A farmer, come here. The farmer noticed him. Maharaj, namaskar. He came bending his head. So who are you? I am the farmer. Who am I? Up Maharaj, you are the king. How? Look at Maharaj, you look at me, my dress, I am the farmer. Look at me, what I am doing, I am the farmer. Ab to Maharaj hai, you have a crown and a big royal attire and you are in palanquin. So that is what the farmer said. Then what the king said, palanquin, hey, move away. The palanquin was moved away. He removed his throne, his crown. Not throne, crown. Throne is at home. So he removed his dress also. And inside he was having a similar dress like the farmer. And you come here, they stood side by side. Now you tell me what is the difference? Then the farmer said, Maharaj, there is no difference. That is what it is. Jiva Brahmanor Bhedaha is like that. So, you identify with a physical body and with a mind. And mind is happy, you are happy. Mind is unhappy, you are unhappy. Suppose you do not identify. Then the happiness and unhappiness of the mind are not for you. You try. You stop identifying with the body. The birth and death of the body are not yours. So you identify wrongly and then say, I am different from God. You are different from God only because you identify with the Anatma. Stop identifying and then see what happens. Therefore, the difference is only in degree and the degree is invalid. The difference in degree is not factual. It is imagined. It is due to a false identification. Therefore, priya bhede na manam syat. You can be happy all the time. Suppose you feel unhappy, Then what you do is, you sit upright and take 2 deep breaths. You do like that. And then you become very alert. And then inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose, throwing out all your unhappiness. I have thrown away all my anxiety and unhappiness. Now you open the eyes and keep a smile on the lips. You are cheerful and keep it going. Over. That is how it is. But what happens? What happens? That happens. Whatever has to happen, it will happen. And whatever you have to do, you will do also. I am not coming in the way of that. You see, what I am saying, it doesn't come in the way of social life. It doesn't come in the... social life means the right kind of social life, as a Vedantic student. It doesn't come in the way of family life at all. Absolutely not. And it doesn't come in the way of a profession, unless... it doesn't come in the way of profession. As long as the profession is an honest profession and you are not ambitious and greedy. Karmanyavadhikaraste. Ma phaleshu kadachana. You are devoted to your job, that's all. I have to take a class, I am devoted to that, that's all. Nothing more, nothing less. You do your duty. In duty there will be no issues. Like you are doing an experiment. What issues will be there? No, there are some issues. Those issues are part and parcel of the experiment. That is why you are doing it. And therefore, the issues will come only when you compare your experiment with somebody else's experiment. Oh, he is progressing, I am not progressing. That is how the problems will come. In getting devoted to the duty, Vedanta is very helpful. It doesn't come in the way. But if you want to be ambitious and greedy, then Vedanta is not helpful unless you modify the Vedanta itself to suit your purpose. That is wrong, you know. It is like changing the label on the medicine. You should not do that. You see, that is aviveka. It's a different topic now. Therefore, there is no difference in quality of ananda. There is only difference in degree of ananda between jiva and Ishvara. And that difference of degree is entirely due to ignorance. And so, अज्ञान से जो होता है वो असल में नहीं होता है. अज्ञान से जो पैदा होता है वो असल में नहीं होता है. That means due to ignorance, whatever difference that is there, that is put in place between Jiva and Ishvara in terms of happiness, that doesn't exist because it is there only because of ignorance. And therefore, Priya Bhede na manam syat. It is against logic, it is against rational understanding. The division is against. That's why when you are happy, you are not there. When you are happy, you are not there. When you are not there, what is Ishvara only. The invisible, real self alone is there. Now, therefore, you are the Brahman. But, as I already said any number of times, your paribhasha of Ishvara can still come in the way. Because people have some exotic idea about Ishvara, and therefore their divinity remains covered up by all these exotic ideas of Ishvara. Therefore, the pure happiness in which there is no seeker of happiness, there is no outer self, there is no false self. The pure happiness is indeed Ishvara. Now, in the context of the Jagat, Ishvara has created Jagat out of himself. Ishvara is the upadana for the Jagat. So, if Ishvara is Ananda, the Jagat derived from that upadana must be perfect. Because Ananda, another meaning of Ananda is perfection. So the Jagat must be perfect. So then you may ask, how come the Jagat is not perfect? There are two ways. One, if the Jagat is derived from Ishvara, Ishvara is the upadana, then Jagat must be perfect. It cannot be anything but perfect. But we have a notion that Jagat is not perfect. Therefore, this imperfection is in you, not in the Jagat. Therefore, if you experience imperfection in the Jagat, that imperfection is a projection by you. Jagat is perfect. Everything in the Jagat is perfect. There is no imperfection in this world. It is cosmos. There is no chaos in the Jagat. Whatever chaos is there is in your mind, not in the Jagat. Because Jagat is derived from the Upadana of Ishvara, who is Ananda, who is perfection. It is like ornament made of gold will be golden only. Therefore, when you project imperfection on the Jagat, you become unhappy. You stop projecting imperfection on the Jagat, understand that it is all the manifest Ishvara and it is all perfect, it is wonderful in its place. Everything, somebody is drinking a country liquor in a country liquor compound. It is called like that, Kallu compound, a country liquor compound. Somebody sat there and he is drinking country liquor. Perfect. There is nothing imperfect in it. That is how Bhagavan created this universe. So you stop, so that may not be the right example. I am sorry about it. That may not be the right example. So you supply the example yourself. So therefore, once you stop projecting things upon to the Jagat, you stop projecting things upon yourself, the degree difference also vanishes, and you are that Ananda Swarupa. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.